Thank you for coming to our third event, Kissa Goi Salon Cultural Salon Series, number 3. So today we have Shazia Ali Khan with us. Thank you for coming, Shazia. And as you know, she is a filmmaker, and her first movie is called Pinky Mem Sab, which did very well, and I think it's got good reviews, excellent reviews. I'll just read out her introduction because I don't want to leave anything. Shazia Ali Khan is an accomplished filmmaker, educator, and advocate for social causes. Her debut feature film, Pinky Mem Sab, which she wrote, directed, and co-produced, garnered critical acclaim, winning the Best Film Award at the UK Asian Film Festival in 2019, and enjoying a 4-year run on Netflix, reaching audiences worldwide. Currently residing in Dubai, Shazia is an adjunct professor in the Media and Film Department at Middlesex University. She holds a degree in filmmaking from the prestigious London Film Academy, LFA. Her diverse career in media includes producing and directing the popular talk show Talking Divas for ARY Digital, a Pakistani network, a major Pakistani network. She is deeply committed to social justice, having directed impactful documentaries for NGOs in Africa and South Asia, with a focus on advocating for the right to education for underprivileged communities. Thank you, Shazia.
Thank you. Thank you for the lovely.
So can you please tell us something about, what was the message you wanted to give with the movie, or what inspired you to make this?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here. It was a very humble first effort from an independent filmmaker, but thank you for, I guess I'm grateful for people like you who even 5 years down the line are promoting it, talking about it, and that's what makes it all worth it. I think that question, the honest answer to that is, I think your first project, whether you're a writer or an artist, a painter or a filmmaker, all the arts really, the first project is something that's been kind of marinating inside of you for a lot of years. It's a culmination of your experiences as a young person, and then later on as, an expat in my case. And then there comes a day when you regurgitate it, and sometimes in a painting, in a book, or in a movie. So a lot of the themes that you see it had its technical faults, perhaps budget restrictions, but I think the reason it's connected so well to the audience is because it was very heartfelt. The story came from a place where because I wrote it also, I felt every moment of it, or either experienced it myself or saw people who were very close to me who had experienced issues like that. And then obviously coupled with, again, with any art form, issues that are close to you. For example, education, income disparity, especially in a place like Dubai where you are faced with that every day. We have, touchwood, a very privileged life, but then all we need to do is look at the car right next to us at the red light, and we know what a huge difference there is in our lives and maybe some of the others. And that's something I hold really close to my heart. So I thought it would be nice to do a story where it would almost be an upstairs, downstairs story of two women who come from such different backgrounds and yet connect at such deep levels because essentially we're all the same. Mm-hmm. So that's why. Yeah. Pinky and her Mem Sab.
Mm-hmm. So the name actually is Pinky Mem Sab is not because she actually...
So it's double
Yeah,
double
okay,
meaning,
okay.
right? So she could have been the madame or wanted to be, or it's just a story of Pinky and her madam who, we've all experienced at some point in our lives in Dubai. So.
When you were writing out the story, was it just a story that you wanted to tell, or was there like a cultural impact that you wanted to kind of influence people to think about?
That's a really good question. I don't think I did it consciously, but now that I've heard what people have to say about it, I think I did it unknowingly. I think with all artists, if they're really true to what they think is cool or what they think is nice to talk about, it will connect, like I said. So you do end up influencing a lot. Like I remember, because we had a fan page on Facebook and Instagram, I remember a lot of people wrote to me saying this was our life. We came to Dubai to work in a household like that. Now we're back home. But when we saw it, we were so emotional. When I was writing it, that was not the intention. But I think it ended up becoming that for some people, not everybody, but some people. And I mean, one of the examples, if with Mukta's permission, I'd give is, she's a very beautiful socialite. She looks like a model. She has a perfect life. The Meme Saab, right? And she's unhappy. So the husband's like quite doting and, they have a beautiful house and a child, but she's just not content because she's a struggling writer and she's got a block for many years and she's kind of lost herself in Dubai and in that life. So she's unhappy. And a lot of the men who saw the film ended up commenting that, what was her problem? She had everything. He's such a nice husband. What is, why is she biting his neck all the time? And, Mukta and I discussed it, and I think some people don't get it, right? That's what our mothers say, that, oh, but your life is so perfect, you've got a good job, why are you being so ungrateful? But I think that was something very personal. That is where I come in. The story is not my life, but in order to be happy in life and satisfied, material things will go so far, right? But there's always this discontentment. I have no shame in saying that I had a little spell in my life where I had to be on medication because of grief management. And I talk about it very openly because I don't think medication is the answer, and the doctors are very quick to give it to you. And when I started sharing that with people, I was so surprised because they would say, of course, we've been on it for years now and nobody talks about it. So, and these are people who I thought were very happy in their lives. But, I think if you are not doing what you're supposed to do, there will be times when you've had a great time, you've just come back from a dinner or a party, but something is not right. So you either obsess over something, you get addicted to something, or you just dwell in that emotion all the time because you're trying to overcome that. That's not going to happen till you come out with what you're supposed to be doing. For example, people say, oh, you're just a housewife, you throw such beautiful parties, to various friends of mine. But I mean, do they appreciate the art that goes in entertaining? From the place settings to the flower arrangements, it's literally artistic expression. And nobody appreciates it because it's something that people expect out of women. So I think I believe that all human beings have this need to express themselves creatively, artistically. And even if, they choose to be mothers or housewives or corporate executives and stuff, there's art in even being a corporate lawyer. I'm sure some of you would agree with me, right? Yeah, that's what you do. I happen to do it in a film. Maybe that's why I'm sitting here. But I think every one of you at some point deserve to be in this seat if you followed your inner self. That's what I believe. But this has been something that's taken me a few years to realize. When you sit down and you start writing or painting or whatever, it's not like that. It's not like you're out there to save the world. If you do that, I feel it's contrived. You have to feel it. You have to be moved by it, and then it'll connect.
What do you think some of the unique challenges and opportunities are of being a filmmaker in the UAE?
In the UAE, oh wow, it's open ground. There is no film industry here. I mean, people say, oh wow, you got to Netflix in like the first go. How is that? Yes, the film is good, but also there are no films out of the UAE. I mean, there's Arabic content, but what about expat stories? And we comprise 75% of the population here. So there are a lot of stories that need to be told, and then the UAE has its unique culture. It's like a melting pot, right? I mean, just this room is testament to that. But how many films do you know which talk about that, right? So Pinky is one, but even Pinky, I think because it was very sort of coming from inside me, it's very India-Pakistan, because that's the universe I knew at that point. But I've written another script, which is still, I'm trying to get funds for it and stuff. That's like a completely different story, also based in Dubai, but 5 different people who come from different countries, different languages, different cultures, and they're like these 5 parallel stories that then come together. But that's also Dubai. So opportunities are galore. It's just that because of that, there are limitations also. So maybe you'll find funding quicker in more mature industries, in suppose India or the US, for example, even the UK. But here, funding opportunities are few and far between. Then the crew that you get is not trained to be a film crew. They are advertising crews. So they work on daily rates. So their psyche is different. You know, they want to get quick money and be out of there in a day. They usually do corporate events coverage, or they do modeling shoots, or they shoot ads. Film is a marathon versus a 100-meter race, right? So you have to be in the mindset. Whether it's your cinematographer or your crew members, you can't find those there. It's very difficult. So with Pinky, a lot of it was outsourced from India and Pakistan. If I do it again, I'll probably try and bring out the local the film community. That would be one thing that I would like to do, to contribute back, like build the infrastructure here. And that's why I teach at Middlesex, because these students who graduate every year, and it's an BA honors program, but they don't get jobs in films. They get jobs in advertising agencies and so on and so, PR companies and things. So, I think they need to be given opportunities. To the government of Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, and even Dubai, they are doing a lot of work now. I see a lot of interest towards filmmaking, but I think rightly so, it's targeted towards local indigenous filmmakers, Emirati. So I think rightly so, because they have to nourish an infant industry. But in parallel to that, we need to also develop somewhere where expat stories are told.
Yes, I think we'll play that emotional scene.
The last one?
Yeah.
The ending?
No, the
Oh, okay.
the one with the
पापा जान, रसूल का वक्त हो गया है, कौन जाएगा मेरे साथ? नहीं इरम आप नहीं
She's a Christian girl.
पहचान ये कैसे रह सकती है
वही कहा तुमने ईशा कैसे जा सकती जब वो जिंदा थे उनके पाँव दबाती थी उनके बालों में कंघी करती थी जब वो बीमार पड़ती थी तो उनके माथे पर ठंडी पट्टियां रखा करती थी उनके होठों से गंदगी साफ की है अपने हाथ से दिवाले बना बना कर खिलाए हैं बच्चों की तरह उस वक्त कोई चाचा फूफा मामा मामी भतीजे भाजी कोई नहीं आता था साथ नॉट इवन यू माय डियर और अब जबकि वो खत्म हो गई है तो क्या हक पहुंचता है इसे उन्हें हाथ लगाने का Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, इरम मेरी और जहानारा की बेटी ये अपनी माँ को रखसत करने शुरू हो जाएगी आप में से कोई अगर न जाना चाहे न जाए लेकिन ये जाएगी
Yeah, I brought religion into this a little bit, but again, it's something very close to my heart. And we had to be really subtle about it because I wasn't even allowed to say that this girl is Christian. And a lot of Muslims don't believe this. They believe she was the caretaker of the lady who's passed away. But a lot of people say that once a person dies, a person from another religion can't touch their body because then they don't find salvation. I don't believe that at all. So in my subtle way, I try to make a point there. And it's this thing that propels the main protagonist to go back
Yes.
to the Bible because she feels she's wronged her helper.
Yeah.
Hi everyone. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Chitra. I'm the art curator at Kissa Goi. And so usually we end our events with a little talk from me. So that's what you're going to see, but don't worry, I'm not going to take too long. Now, today, as I experienced all of us sitting together in this little room watching clips from Shazia's movie, I was reminded of a story that I've heard while going through the history of filmmaking. So apparently in 1895, 1896, there was a little clip, 50-second clip of a train approaching a station in France. And this movie was screened for an audience. Now mind you, unlike us, those audience, they'd never seen movies before. So it was the first time that they were experiencing movies. So it seems that when the screen lit up and they saw a life-size train approaching them, the spectacle was so real to them that they panicked and they screamed and ran to the different corners of the room. Now, today, historians generally consider this to be an urban legend. Now, the movie does exist. Even today, you can see that clip in museums across the world. And it was shown either in 1895 or 96. However, the reaction of the audience, many believe, has been slightly embellished and exaggerated. But nonetheless, it makes for a very interesting story. And also it makes for an amazing anecdote to show the power of movies to inspire feelings and emotions, and even actions. And isn't that something that we've all experienced? We've laughed with characters, we've felt sorry for them. When we saw IT jump over that moon and the little girl's bicycle basket, haven't we all felt like reaffirming a belief in humanity. Or even when Amir Khan hit that last 4 in Lagan, didn't we all feel a sense of achievement? I, for one, get chills every time there's a national anthem playing. And it doesn't matter for which country or which galactic federation it's for, it still gives me goosebumps. And I know I'm not alone in this. Raise your hands if you've ever felt teary-eyed by seeing movies.
I cry all the time.
Yeah, so do I. Because that's the power of movies, to inspire emotions and feelings, and even opinions and actions. And like the cliche goes, with great power comes great
Responsibility.
And today, you and I, we're no longer passive recipients of this medium of movies. You know, we have hundreds and thousands of movies to choose from. We're no longer dependent on neighborhood theaters to tell us what to watch. So the next time when we're wondering what to see, maybe give that independent filmmaker a chance. Maybe give that docudrama made on a small budget a chance. To quote Julia Roberts from, Mona Lisa Smile, it's okay not to like something new, but it's no longer okay to not consider something new just because it's different. And when you do come across a movie or a small reel that you really enjoy, that's well made with a unique storyline and honest filmmaking, click that like button and subscribe button, post about it, share it in your Insta stories. These might seem like trivial matters, but it could make a world of difference for a creative individual.
Very well said. Very well said.
And also, we all have interesting stories to say. So if you think you have a beautiful story that would make an inspiring movie, find filmmakers like Shazia. Share your stories with them. If you know that there is an individual who has an amazing project, approach them, see if you can fund them, introduce them to friends who might be interested in investing in movies. At the very least, if you can, open up your beautiful homes to them, your office space to them, so that they have a space to shoot their movies. And there are countless ways in which we can help and support filmmakers. So let's not hold back anymore. Meeting Shazia and learning more about her process, her challenges, and the clever way in which she tackled them, it's been a truly inspiring experience for us here at Kisagoi. And I hope that this evening has been entertaining, engaging, and inspiring to all of you as well. Now, as we leave today, we have a small gift for everybody, just to remind us of the superstars that we all are. So I hope you enjoy it. We also have a wonderful selection of nibbles from POS, so please stay back and enjoy that as well. And thank you once again for coming, everybody. Thank you for this lively conversation. And until we meet again, may you experience beautiful cinema, and may your life be filled with delightful fragrances. And yes, that is a hint about our next event. Thank you.
Thank you.